Hello, hello, good afternoon, good evening, good morning, good whatever and whatever time zone you're in. We're bringing you some hot Link to the Past Randomizer 2022 Tournament Group J action. This group looking a little bit chaotic, and we've got this matchup between jmeasher, who has locked in the number one seed of this group, and McMonkey, who is fighting for his tournament life. If he loses, he is going to need some. Actually, no, if he loses, he is just out. If he wins, he still needs help to advance. But regardless, calling this race today, I'm Reg. I'm joined by Hammer Bro. And Hammer, what are we going to see these guys play?
So we are going to see the tournament version of keys, which is just regular old open key sanity, except for three wonderful little exceptions. The GT Big is in GT. So guess what? We still have the GT Big key guessing game. That's fun for everyone, I'm sure. On a less fun note, the Aga Tower keys are in Aga Tower. So you don't need those if you need Aga for the Dark World or for Lumberjack. So we'll see how that ends up working.
Yeah. The flip side to that, though, even though it does make Aga a little bit more common in this mode, it also means that if you know you need him for Lumberjack, you won't have to hunt those keys later.
Yeah, that's a good counterpoint. And plus, GT Big Key game. Come on.
Yeah, GT Big Key being vanilla means that the game, well, I say vanilla, it's going to be somewhere in the Ganon's Tower basement, not necessarily behind Ice Armos. But that does mean that the end game also does not come down to essentially a pseudo Ice Rod hunt looking for that thing.
Well, we still have the chance of it coming down to an actual Ice Rod hunt, so let's not hold our breaths too much here.
That is true. This is still, aside from the key shuffle and map compass, ordinary open randomizer.
That's a nice full magic drop that McMonkey grabbed there. Not immediately useful, but it's always nice to have when you do get something that can utilize it.
Yep. Of course, jmeasher going to grab presumably the two magic drops under the pots here, so unless they pull like a fire rod or something, which, hey, big key to desert, probably going to need that. There's the full magic drop for jmeasher. So both runners on equal footing there.
Okay, so we've got an eastern map, a big key for desert, and a small key for pod, one of which we'll be seeing several.
Yeah, likely to see at least 3 or 4 of those, but there are 6 total. It's just the only reason you'd really need all 6 at this level of play is for logical considerations. But these guys can full clear the dungeon on just 4 if they're patient and the bow and hammer are available. 5 is ideal because that would let them open up the front door and save a good chunk of time. But that's still a little ways off. Looks like McMonkey's going to check Lumberjack here for us. Also getting a bomb drop there off that enemy, presumably in the bomb pack. So probably see him kill at least another few of those. And Bush Crab throwing that blue rupee right where McMonkey can't get it, which means he's not going to pick up any more from the crab because it won't drop until you pick up the previous drop.
Oh boy. Well, there is a bow on Lumberjack. I guess the good part about this mode is that bows are progressive, so we can still find another one somewhere, hopefully.
Yeah, unless it's behind that Lumberjack bow, we probably won't see Aga die because these guys don't need silver arrows. But if it turns out he's required for Dark World or something, that is actually pretty nice to know. Meanwhile, we do see McMonkey taking more care to farm the pickle kills, the bush crab. I'm gonna grab this piece of heart as well. jmeasher entering Kakariko on 0 bombs, going straight into blindside out.
Yeah, 0 bombs, 0 rupees, and this is kind of a gutsy play because, as Key Sanity has shown us, the first 4 items that we picked up weren't even items that we would see in a normal non-Key Sanity mode with a big key, a small key, a map, and a compass. You might get the small key out of Sanctuary, but otherwise you would get other filler items like rupees and bombs, and in Key Sanity that's much less likely.
Yeah, that's true. But we did see the map of Hyrule Castle. One of the two totally useless items. Like, that literally doesn't do anything for these guys.
How dare you?
So, and that single rupee just insult to injury there. Meanwhile, McMonkey on 3 bombs. Going to be able to get everything. Also going to have the option to farm the back of Blind's hideout for money, which is 3 times faster than farming the well in a no-bomb situation. And you can see jmeasher here, as poor as he is, has to run to the back of the tavern. Can't get any other checks in Kakariko. Does get flippers. That's a little scary.
I mean, flippers are nice, and they are progression, but not exactly what he was hoping for. I'm willing to bet that jmeasher would have taken a big 20 there.
Yeah, because the 20 rupee would have at least let him buy bombs and finish the Kakariko checks. jmeasher going to immediately follow those flippers instead of doing South Shore, which can't do mini Moldorm Cave without bombs, can't do Agena without bombs, can't do Ice Rod Cave without bombs, so it really would just be the dam.
Yeah, and we also saw jmeasher skip the race game and the library, which, again, couldn't do those without bombs, but you could at least look at them. So,
yes.
Go ahead.
jmeasher also skipped stuff like the bottle vendor, the chicken coop, and the 2 bombable wall checks in Blind's hideout in the well. So he's going to have to go back to Kakariko. That's 5 checks right there. He can hit those other checks south of it at his convenience. Yeah, Chad actually raising a good point, though. My personal favorite opening in a Key Sanity mode is Houlihan. I take that a step further and buy bombs at the Lake Hylia shop, then go to Sahasrara and Eastern Palace afterwards, which is silly and not at all optimal. But we're seeing Houlihan start would be very well rewarded this seed, just for the guaranteed supply of rupees and bombs instead of all the keys we've got.
Exactly. And if you're not a fan of Houlihan, the alternative is you can actually just do a Link's house start and head around from the south side and grab the handful of 50-50 bushes until you get, 3 or 4 bombs.
Yep, or even just grab 2, one for the race game under the presumption that you're going to need it, which we see a bottle there, which is nice to have. McMonkey can turn right back around and do Sick Kid check. But just get 2, one for this and one for the bombable hut in the far southwest of Kakariko, where you can farm bombs guaranteed. jmeasher picked up the 50 rupee in the dam. He's taking it to the Lake Hylia shop, gonna grab himself some bombs. I would expect probably Sahasrara next after this. Because even on a 10-pack, well, he could do mini Moldorm Cave. It's just a question of, do you want to do that with bombs, or do you want to try to pull something out of Sahasrara that might be a bit of use?
Yeah, at this point, I don't blame him. Mainly because if the Moldorms do as many Moldorms tend to do, you might be walking out of mini Moldorm Cave with less than half the bombs you started with. And then you're kind of in the same situation where, now you have 4 bombs in hand. And you have Ice Rod Cave, which requires 1, and Agena, which requires 1, and all the stuff that's still left over in Kakariko, and you're not in a great spot.
Yep. We do see here Sahasrara telling us Green Pendant in Ice Palace. jmeasher getting 2 Y items there with the Quake and Bottle and a relatively useless Skull Woods key. It's a little bit of convenience in routing.
I was going to say, I completely disagree with the first one being useless. Everything after that, just not worth your time. But that first one can be really nice.
Yeah, it can save you from needing to steal a key if you're going to the back first. It can let you avoid having to drop down and risk saving and quitting if you do the front first. It's not too bad to have. Although Skull Woods keys, their only logical implication is you logically need all 3 to reach Mothula. And I guess similarly, since we found them, Misery Mire's small keys only logically block the fire side, all three of them. Unless the big key's over there, but we know it's not since we already have it.
Yeah, I was actually going to say that I put in that first Skullwood small in the same category that I put in the first Myers small. It's really nice to have at least one of them.
Yeah, first Mire small lets you route straight to the fire side of the dungeon and do that first, which just makes things a little smoother, a little less doubling back. First ice key can be really nice if you're not doing Icebreaker to do that side of the dungeon first, but I think Icebreaker does reduce the value of that a little bit if we do see a Cane of Samaria, assuming the runners even go into that Pendant dungeon here.
Right, because we do know that Ice Palace is a Pendant. And it's kind of nice walking up to Sasrala early game and getting information for a dungeon that you have not picked up the map for.
Yep. And similarly, because we haven't seen that many maps so far, I don't think. I think we've only seen the one to Eastern at the start and then Hyrule Castles. Nice sword there for McMonkey. It could be forever before jmeasher gets that.
Yeah, that's an ugly spot for a sword.
Glove is a pretty good pickup for jmeasher, because that does put Houlihan back as an option on the table for him. You really can't Houlihan with flippers plus no boots, no glove. But with glove, you can just bomb yourself into the grave.
Yep. Also, that sounded like a lot more morbid than it actually was.
I mean, no more morbid than just falling into the grave on your own.
That's fair. That's fair. This sword also makes mini Moldorms a lot easier to deal with.
Yeah, especially with McMonkey only being on one bomb here.
Yeah, no, that would not have been possible.
Big key. Thieves Town is kind of nice, although you generally want to see the small key to Thieves Town.
You mean like right there?
Yes. There is a world where McMonkey picks up the small key first. And most runners love to see the small key before the big key, just because no risk of isolating the item in the big chest if you do that.
You know, I genuinely don't see McMonkey complaining here. jmeasher is gonna have a heck of a time here.
Yeah, jmeasher entered this room on half a heart of damage, picked up the hearts under the pot, and then couldn't get his damage boost. So whatever that item is, it's going to be left behind. Although chat pointing out, and actually I didn't know this myself, you can just reset the hearts under the pot by leaving the room and coming back. And then he would have been able to damage boost. Okay, lamp, sword, getting slightly scary. No moon pearl yet though.
That resets the pots?
Oh yeah, it resets the pots. That's how it doesn't reset the contents though. So you just use the pots to kill the enemies.
Right, okay. I was gonna say, I don't think it resets what's underneath there. As we do see a small key of Tower of Hera.
Okay, got Hera's small key, got fire, got a glove. Only thing missing is a way to actually reach the dungeon, then we can do that check. Collectively speaking, at least. I wonder if this is back to Kak with jmeasher, or if he is going to sequence break the mountain. Looks like it's Kak, he's staying low.
Yeah, that's definitely Kak. And with that bottle now, that's a lot of checks that are over here.
Yep, three bombable walls that he skipped, including the chicken hut. Then Sick Kid. Then race game for another bottle if he does it blind or he decides he wants it.
Yep, in addition to being able to look at the library. Also going to have enough money to do bottle vendor here, so that's another check.
Yeah, he might have to farm an additional time for bottle vendor though, because this will only put him on 76 and then 20 in the well.
That's fine. It's well worth the extra drop down to just go ahead and grab it.
Yeah, beats having to come back here a third time. Big key to Turtle Rock. We're not going to see any use for that for a long while, but good to have. It locks half the dungeon. Oh, and I forgot there was a red rupee in that chest, so jmeasher good on being able to pay off the bottle vendor. McMonkey's scouting the ledge and quitting because he cannot afford to pay off Zora. Looks like to Eastern Palace with McMonkey.
It also looks like what we need is going to be sitting in Escape somewhere. Or, okay, I'm really hoping that what we need isn't sitting on Zora. Outside of that.
I mean, Escape is available. The Mountain is available for at least the Old Man and the Spec Rock checks.
That's fair, but that's only 2 checks, so.
Yeah. And then Zora. Dark Cross is also available, though, to make Escape 4 checks. Though, yeah, Chad's right. Without the Hyrule Castle small key, the bottom 2 checks in Escape, the Boomerang chest, and the Cell, not quite in logic. Because you could steal and misuse the key. And that would
fair.
be
That's still 2 checks within logic, though, so that's not bad.
Yeah, twice as many as Zora.
With no farming.
The good news for these guys, at least for McMonkey and his 130 rupees at this point, he can do Houlihan for 225. That'll put him at about 350, and then he'll have the glove, which means he can farm that rock on the way to the desert for 50 at a time. With 350, he'll only need to farm that 3 times, so it's not completely terrible, just mostly awful.
I mean, yeah, but I feel like if you're, less than half an hour in and you're just sitting there farming rupees, it hurts. I don't care how many times you have to go to that rock.
Yeah, it hurts, but it'll also mean he knows that he last location Zora. And frankly, with how poor this seed has been, unless like a 300 pack shows up in one of the other remaining spots, you know your opponent last location Zora too.
That's fair, yeah.
And yeah, there is a rupee room in Eastern Palace, as Chad is mentioning, but that is behind the big door, so there is no doing that room today. At least not immediately.
Yeah, unless that room off to the side contains a vanilla Eastern big key, we are not going to be seeing those 90 rupees.
Seems pretty unlikely, but that lamp does put it into logic, so it could be progression still.
Yeah, and this is going to be one of those situations where jmeasher is going to be displeased about getting that sword over at Agnes Cave when he eventually does head over that way.
Yeah, because he took a lot of damage going through those dark rooms, which is why he struggled and ultimately could not get the item out of that vanilla big key chest.
Yeah, speaking of damage here, sitting on 2 hearts and nothing to really fend away these crabs, so hopefully they are kind. Okay, cool.
Does have blue mail though, so he could have taken a hit before dying.
That's fair. Early blue mail is always nice.
Until you try to death warp.
Fair point. Huh, Stelphos in the super pack. That's nice knowledge.
Yeah, because there are a few of those towards the end game.
And I believe the red Stelphos are in the same pack as the regular Stelphos, so...
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's true.
That could help going up the gauntlet for magic refill purposes.
And just a compass, and one of the less useful ones at that. As if any compass is really useful to these guys.
What did the compasses do to you? Goodness.
I mean, if you're using a tracker, then you've got your item count in front of you on that. You don't need the compass to tell you. And if you're not, it's because you've got all the item counts memorized and you don't feel like using one, so you don't need the game to tell you either. Of course, I will say for less experienced players or people who are playing seeds over longer periods of time instead of doing them in one shot, compasses can be rather useful. just to give you a refresher on what you have and haven't done.
Yeah, or if you're dealing with a dungeon like Turtle Rock in either inverted or crossworld, it can be helpful there too, because of the many ways to get there.
Yeah, entrance randomizer, especially for a multi-entrance dungeon, is its own beast.
And it looks like both of our runners are going to be heading over towards the mountain, so we're going to forego escape, at least for now, and we're going to go do those 2 checks.
Yeah, it makes sense for jmeasher, especially without a sword and his low bomb count. For McMonkey, could go either way. The mountain has the additional advantage of the save and quit point, though.
Yeah, that's fair. It's not like you're wasting a whole lot of time doing this, even if there ends up being nothing up here.
Yeah, the only downside is if like the mirror is an escape and you're supposed to use that to go to Hera, then you've got to climb it again. But Moon Pearl is pretty good there. Pretty close to the Dark World now.
Yep, we just need a sword or a cape.
Or a hammer.
Or a sword or a cape.
Okay, yeah, I'm sure that you want to see that.
I mean, I just want to see our runners check escape, and if they get a hammer, they might not. As we do see a small key on top of Spec Rock, so we're going to have to make a note of that. Oh boy, well, never mind.
We're going to the Dark World, boys. Let's go.
I just wanted to see escape checked.
It's okay. They'll pull the mirror and they'll route it in with the pyramid check.
Yes, at 1 hour and 45 minutes.
Maybe at like 50 minutes.
Although I'm starting to give that bow on Lumberjack Ledge a little bit of side eye.
Yeah, because other bow could be literally anywhere. Well, I say it could be behind the boot. It could be literally anywhere. Still no map checks, but I think we've only found like 1 or 2 maps of note so far anyways. jmeasher remembering Head Cave is a thing, and he does actually have the bombs to go for it.
Yeah, McMonkey does too, but just barely.
McMonkey could afford to buy bombs at the bomb shop if he wanted to. Nothing there in Hype Cave besides some health, some flute, and the baby shield.
I was going to say, the flute's not nothing. I mean, we don't have boots, so it's nice to have some way to get around. It does make it much more likely that jmeasher will actually check Agonist Cave for that sword sooner rather than later.
That is true. Eastern and Misery Mire are the 5/6s here.
Isn't that both the maps that we got?
I know Eastern is one of them. I can't remember if the other was Mire or what. But regardless, yep. McMonkey spending 100 rupees on 10 bombs. Paying double what the Light World shops charge.
Well, to be fair, that one will fill up 30 bombs, I believe, so it is actually a slight bit of a discount.
It will, but only if you go purchase the upgrades, which means you're spending even more rupees.
Well, you know, the guy at the bomb shop can't control that. He's handing you 30 bombs, and what you do with the other 20 is up to you.
Seeing the rare non-inverted arrow game here because this seed is so poor that jmeasher can't afford the dig game. Looks like he was gonna try going for the strat where you hit the same one 5 times and that gives you 99 rupees instead of 64, but couldn't get it. Missed a shot in there to boot. So just playing semi-normally here. Unfortunately, not having that much luck with it, only on 60 rupees after 2 plays. Probably should reset the room here because the normal strategy starts to fail on the 3rd one. Which there is a lineup, you stand right next to the guy, you shoot the arrow while the, I don't even know what to call it, but the target is crossing the second curtain into the third, and you will hit consistently. Of course, your shots will start getting blocked by the hands on like the third play on average. But yeah, jmeasher was ahead on the route, but his attempts and his failure to get the 99 pull off the arrow game means that McMonkey starts digging ahead of him.
And now we play the how many digs to the piece of heart. Oh, never mind, big 20. Which honestly isn't that unwelcome at this point.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised he didn't keep digging to try to get even more out of it, but...
I mean, McMonkey does have over 200 rupees, which is more than enough for Pod and the chess game, which are the two big things left if we're just hoping and praying that Sora is useless.
Yeah, there is also the red bomb for 80, but by the time that's in play, you're likely to have pulled more.
Yeah, I think it's a full 100 for that red bomb, but either way, we're really hoping that, you know, we deal with that before we get access to completing Eastern Empire.
Yeah, 80, 100, practically the same thing at this point.
More than what we want to spend.
Yep. Now, this flute activation doesn't actually do anything for us besides the fast travel until we see the Titan's mitts, because we already had access to the mountain.
Yeah, but it is so nice to have, especially if our runners decide to head into the pod area.
Yeah, flute to 5 for pod beats any other way of getting there by a lot.
It's spectacular, especially when you don't have the boots. When you do, it's like, whatever, let me just dash through a couple of screen transitions. When you don't, it's almost like you're singing a road trip song to get there.
Yeah, unfortunately for these runners, though, only one pod key and no bow means that pod not the most appealing play. It's only, 3 checks with 1 key?
Yeah, well, they do both have a green goo. McMonkey from grabbing the green goo at the race game, and jmeasher from getting that waterfall refill, so they would technically have 5 they could do. Maybe 6 if you don't use the key there. So there are some options, but yeah, it's not a great play at this point.
Yeah, like I said earlier, 5 is really the ideal number. 4 is the minimum to full clear if you've got all the actual items you need. And generally, I think 3 is the magic number that runners like, at least to go in without intent to full clear.
I don't think I've ever seen someone walk through that house like McMonkey did. That was a little bit quicker than going around it, for sure.
Yeah. I think there's just a bit of danger associated with it, but especially with these pose.
It's going to be interesting here, because if jmeasher can't get his hands on a sword, either in Sea Hut here, which we'll see in a moment, or in Thieves Town itself, blind is going to be significantly harder for him.
Yeah, hammer blind is no joke. Of course, with inverted being one of the modes in this tournament, even if it is a key sanity mode itself, decent odds that jmeasher's put in at least some practice for it. We'll see if it's needed, and B, how well that pays off.
Yeah, especially with both Thieves Town keys in hand, you really don't want to put this off. You don't have to.
Right. And yeah, Chad asking about the sword. It was at Agina, which this seed was exceptionally stingy with both the rupees and the bombs in the early game. McMonkey went into Kakariko with 3 bombs and no rupees, and he got those bombs from killing the pickles in the bomb prize pack, which jmeasher didn't kill any of those. He didn't know about. So he was struggling with arrows and bombs pretty much the entire seed right up until he at least got a couple hundred out of that arrow game. And that very naturally led to Agina not even really being an option he ever considered.
All right, so it's a big key in the vanilla big key spot, but it's the big key to Ice Palace instead. I guess that's nice to find.
It's okay. It would be better if it weren't a pendant dungeon, but it does mean that there's no risk of isolating that big chest.
Isolating.
Yeah.
This is actually another place where having knowledge of the Stelphos being in the super pack can be helpful, because there are a nice handful of them in this dungeon.
Yeah, especially once you get, well, A, the hallway that jmeasher's in right now, which is right before the boss, and then B, in the downstairs portion, there are several. Hellway trying to give McMonkey the business here, but that anti-fairy got way out of the way, and he was able to find a way through.
Yeah, those three enemies can just work together perfectly to just kind of give you a wall of nothingness to get through.
And it does kind of mean that jmeasher has, despite entering the dungeon second, almost caught up. He's only a room behind now.
Yeah, his Hellway was significantly more kind than McMonkey's was.
That's real nice. That's actually, I don't know if that mirror pull is nicer or jmeasher killing two of those crickets with one pot.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen that, just taking out two enemies with a singular pot.
Yeah, I've never seen it before either, but I am both impressed and amused by it.
So it's like having a bunch of food. He had good potluck.
Yeah, sure, let's go with that. Unfortunately, jmeasher's hammer not quite cooperating with him to kill these enemies, so...
It's okay, with the sense of humor I have, I'm not exactly cooperating either. Speaking of cooperating, we'll take that 300 in that chest right there. That is Zora money.
Yeah, hopefully that'll set these guys for pretty much the rest of the seed.
And actually, that pairs together nicely with the mirror in the attic, because we can do catfish and then do, as we get another pod key, we can do catfish and then mirror and check Zora.
Yeah, and that's always best way to do it. Both of these runners have already checked the waterfall cave, and I believe they both scouted the ledge as well. I know McMonkey did. But yeah, catfish into Zora makes that at least slightly more appealing, slightly less likely to bite these guys.
Yeah, they both do have knowledge of the full heart on Zora ledge.
Yeah, they know that it's both only one check or one extra check. And we're going to see the difference between hammer and sword blind here on jmeasher's side. jmeasher doing well on the first phase, but this is where it gets more difficult.
Yeah, McMonkey having a little difficulty there, but still being able to pull it off without too much trouble. jmeasher needs one more hit, and there we go. And of course it's a pendant.
Of course it is, but they still got that mirror out of the attic, so if they had known it was a pendant, they might have stopped after front four.
Yeah, that's a good point. Even though Key Sanity, when it gives you the big and the small and the hammer, I feel like it's just kind of screaming at you, go do this and go do all of it now.
Yeah, especially since it is worth noting the small key is needed to put the attic into logic. So small key, logically useful there, logical implications. Now, front of Skull Woods here, we do have two small keys, so routing going to be about as smooth as it gets. Middle first, then we'll go back, go through the front door, check everything, use the mirror, be on our way, probably go to Graveyard Ledge afterwards.
Yeah, most likely Graveyard Ledge. And then it'll be interesting to see if our runners decide to go to take that into Catfish and Zora or decide to turn around.
I would expect Catfish, Zora, and then probably Tower of Hera afterwards. Tower of Hera into East Death Mountain. but decent case for skipping Catfish Zora there and just rushing the mountain. jmeasher forgoing the use of the mirror, waiting for the Wallmaster to come down and grab him.
Yeah, I lost a couple seconds to that, unfortunately.
Yep, but still worked out well enough for him. He got back to the front of the dungeon.
Oh yeah, that Wallmaster will absolutely come over and say hello whether you want it to or not.
Small key to Turtle Rock is a good find there because pretty good odds at this point that it's a crystal, which means we're going to need at least 3 of those.
Yeah, we only have 1 pendant that's currently on the loose, I believe.
Yep, because we know ice is the green and we pulled 1 out of Thieves.
And if our runners would do a map check, we might even have information on the 3rd one.
I still don't feel like we found any maps besides Eastern. I should say no useful maps. I know we found Hyrule Castle because I joked about it earlier.
I would have laughed so hard if there was a map on Bumper Ledge.
Yeah, only because we couldn't get it though, I would assume.
Oh, exactly. Yeah, absolutely. Especially with the Hyrule Castle being, being grabbed, there's a much higher chance of that one actually giving us information.
Yeah, because the only other one that's totally, well, I say the only other one, Ice and Meyer, definitely useless to us since we got that information from elsewhere. Thieves sound useless for the same reason. But the only generically useless one that's outstanding is Ganon's Tower. That's a nice find. If we find the mitts, Misery Mire might be full clearable now.
Yeah, if it's Quake, that is definitely an option.
And I kind of expect the runners to semi-rush that location when the mitts show up, just because it is also desert access for them with the mirror. But very interesting to see what that medallion's going to be.
Yeah, not to mention the fact that we have big keys for Mire and for Desert.
Yeah, McMonkey, you've got the flippers, my friend. Showing off is great, but unfortunately he did not get his kern jump, but it was okay because he had the flippers.
Yeah, it's just one of those things.
Yeah, it is a nice piece of tech there to know how to do, but didn't need it today.
Alright, so both of our runners have a full amount of money for the Catfish and Zora check. The difference here is that McMonkey has enough money to go into Pod afterwards, should he so choose. Which again wouldn't be a great play, but is in the area.
Yeah, especially since they're going to go up and pay Zora, I really don't expect this to be anything other than a save and quit to the mountain afterwards. Because, I mean, remember, they have to walk out of Zora's domain to get back to this portal, and then walk from there to the pyramid and or Pod. Meanwhile, Death Mountain with how many checks on it?
That's fair. We do have the mirror and the hammer. I didn't think about that. So yeah, that's all of Paradox.
But Paradox, Spiral, 3 checks in Hera. It's 11 right there. Good chance that there's the mitts there too, which would make it even more.
Don't get ahead of yourself now.
I'm just saying the odds are good. I'm not guaranteeing it.
And synchronized ripoffs.
Yeah, just to partially quote chat. And it's gone. It is kind of impressive to see Zora take 1,000 rupees at a time, though, instead of just 500.
Yeah, that's... I mean, you can call it impressive. It's just kind of sad.
Just a little bit. But they are here on the mountain, just kind of like I thought. There is that small key to something on Spec Rock. We're going to see it. We know it's not the Harris small key, which would be the most immediately important one, and Spec Cave instead for McMonkey. Break in the sink.
Sinks are pretty heavy duty. That's kind of hard to do.
Okay, so I don't know if this is... Okay, actually, never mind. It is enough magic for McMonkey there. Just barely, but it is.
There was also a green goo in the pocket, so he was going to be okay regardless.
Yeah, but he would have had to remember to stop behind one of the torches to actually take it. And not drink it on the spikes. Because Cape does have an activation delay after you switch to it.
Good point.
So if he wasn't careful about that, he would have died. And piled room for jmeasher after finding nothing of note inside the Tower of Hera. So we're just gonna watch the tiles fly at the flashing toad and go. Or not go, as the case may be.
Can we talk about the fact that jmeasher is still swordless?
He hasn't been to Agena. He's had no reason to go over there.
I know, but the seed could at least be nice enough to hand him something.
And also, I didn't note it before, but that small key was the swamp small key, which actually we have access to the entire front of it, just not the back.
Yeah, hookless swamp is not a place anyone wants to be.
Until they've exhausted literally every other check in the world and the hook shot is behind something in swamp.
What did our runners do to you to make you wish such ill upon them?
Look, it's key sanity. That's how it works. Of course, also, since this is key sanity, it also works like the hook shot's going to be in pod behind the 5th pod key that they find in swamp. Or I guess actually it would be the 6th. They find the 6th pod key in swamp and then hook shot's in the dark maze and they just sweep and scrape right around it, right?
Reg, please.
That one was a net positive for the runners, okay?
Wait, no it's not. Neither of them have the net.
Bruh. That one was actually bad. But jmeasher got some money in Spiral Cave. He can afford to go to pod now. Not that I think he wants to anytime soon.
Why not? Now that you've proclaimed that the hook shot is, sitting in harmless hellway.
Because if it's in harmless hellway, he can't get it. Well, I guess he could with the bottle glitch if he went right to it.
Exactly. You just guess correctly. It'll be fine.
Look, if I could guess correctly, I'd win every rando race I participated in. Except the ones where my opponents also guessed correctly. Okay, good. Aghanim gets to live today. We're not killing him.
That's good to hear. I'm not a fan of Magicide.
It does mean that we're not seeing the silver arrows this seed. There's no shot that either of these runners go kill Aga for that. But it does make the pod play suddenly a lot more appealing. And there jmeasher goes.
We are sitting on 2 pod keys, which it's not terrible. It would be kind of interesting if jmeasher just went straight to the back and then used the other key to get as much as he could out of it, which is a possibility.
Oh yeah, that's exactly what we're going to see from jmeasher here. There's no reason not to go for full efficiency and maximize your number of checks here, even if they're not all in logic. Especially since it's pod, and the likelihood of at least one vanilla key is pretty high.
Yeah, that does seem to happen a lot, doesn't it?
Yeah. Anecdotally speaking, it's probably more than 50-50 even.
I feel like it's not actually more likely than 50-50. It just feels like it because every time you get one, it's like, oh, look, I got another small key from Pot.
That's why it's anecdotally speaking, yes. What a surprise.
Burn the witch!
I give it about 100% chance of a pod key and pod this seed.
Only 100? There might be another one in there.
I guess that would make it 200, wouldn't it?
I don't know. Let's not get the statisticians after us, though.
But yeah, with 3 keys here, if jmeasher's willing to do this room multiple times, he can choose one of Harmless Hellway, Vanilla Big Key, or Helmasaur to leave behind, and check everything else. And since there is no big key, everything else is kind of a lie since you can't get to the big chest, but it does mean that you can just skip the boss, no problem.
Oh yeah, that's right. We don't have the big key yet. Yuck.
Yeah, but I mean, even without the big key, that's still 12 checks.
Oh, absolutely. It's just... There's more opportunity for grossness, is what I'm saying.
Right. But we are seeing jmeasher going to go for the bridge first and then double back for the vanilla big key chest. Because that saves him a trip through the right side if he were to do it in the other order, and good decision. Oh, he's not doubling back for the vanilla big key. He's just going to go straight to the back. And then probably do vanilla big key and the Stalfos drop down last after mirroring out of Dark Maze.
McMonkey, on the other hand, not having any sort of patience and just going to go ahead and burn a key on that first door. So walking in with one less key than jmeasher has right now.
And that just means that he will skip either Harmless Hellway or Vanilla Big Key chest, which is fine because they are very likely both junk. Okay. Small key to Hyrule Castle. Hey, remember when I said they'd mirror and check escape with Pyramid at the 50-minute mark?
Reg, you've grown too strong.
I've got a decent sense of things sometimes, but only sometimes.
Oh, yeah, only sometimes, because there's Harmless Hellway with the fetch quest.
Yeah, that fetch quest is still very likely junk. But it might not be. And for better or for worse, that is the one that McMonkey has chosen to skip. So he'll get his 2 chests out of the Dark Maze here. And then mirror, go back and do Vanilla Big Key and the drop down, or he might just do the drop down and save the key. Okay, he's turning around.
Yeah, you and I had the same statement to say there. I was like, "There's a chest over there. Go get it."
And it's just the OK boomerang. Path Magic's nice though.
Yes, the OK boomerang is better than the not OK boomerang though.
But it's not progression.
So jmeasher just didn't check Stalfos basement?
jmeasher just didn't check Stalfos basement.
Okay, cool. Making sure I haven't completely lost my mind.
I guess what he wanted to do is he wanted to hold on to the small key so he could go straight to Helma if the big key showed up soon. And didn't want to go through the right side again to get to the drop down. And that is quick to open Misery Mire, so that's a full clearable crystal dungeon.
Yep, and a out of logic, but also clearable desert as well.
Right. Desert, you do need the small key logically because it is possible to steal the key from the back and take it to the 2 checks in the main part of the dungeon, and then you would lock yourself out. No, actually, chat, good point. I'm silly. I forgot you can't get across that gap in Mire without hookshot or boots, of which we currently have neither.
Oh yeah, that's right. Huh. Hopefully that means we'll get one of them soon, right?
Yeah, very likely.
Just sitting in swamp, right?
Yeah, sitting in swamp, sitting in Skullwood's big chest. Take your pick.
Skullwood's big chest would be a terrible location for that.
Skullwood's big chest is also essentially the one you predicted earlier by trying to claim I predicted it.
I don't know what you're talking about. That prediction is all yours, bud.
I said Dark Maze and I was wrong.
Alright, well, speaking of predictions, it does look like McMonkey is going to be around the escape area in approximately 50 minutes. So.
Yep. jmeasher, meanwhile, he went straight to the Desert Mire area, didn't get anything really to show for it, but will have presumably a crystal. And
Yeah,
I guess
more
red
likely
mail
than
does
not.
exist too. He did pull red mail.
Yeah. I don't think we've seen Checkerboard Cave. I might be wrong. I don't think he's done Checkerboard yet, though.
Nope. He's going to do that, and then Agina after killing Landmole is here.
Oh, that sword's not going to feel good.
No, it won't, especially because he's not entering on a totally full stack of arrows. And there's the mirror for McMonkey.
Every time you set me up with one of these, I just want to be like, no, the mirror was in Thieves Town Attic. Come on, Reg.
But if he pulled it out, then isn't that the same as getting it again?
Anyways, we're going to do a hammer landmo here, which can be fun, can also be annoying.
Yeah, just basically hammer facing sideways or down, ideally with the worm below you. And it's not completely awful, but it's still not great. Dark Cross is nothing. We'll see the other Sphere 1 check here in just a minute. Just Small Key Ganon's Tower, which we already had too, so it doesn't really do anything for... Well, I say that, but we do have to search the basement for the big key. So having a few keys is pretty nice. jmeasher heading to Checkerboard Cave, McMonkey heading to the checks and escape that are technically not Sphere 1, but may as well be.
Yeah, especially with an early glove. If you pull gloves early, you're not going to go steal a key to the back.
Yeah, like, stealing a key is basically just like a cross keys or maybe a niche inverted play. And we do see Swamp and Turtle Rock, both crystals.
So then it's between Pod, Hera, and Skullwoods, I believe.
Yep. Which, right now, we could go fully clear Hera. And extra sword in the cell. That's actually not bad at all, because now it means McMonkey can kill Ganon.
I mean, it also means that he's swinging around a sword that isn't, completely useless.
Hey, now, Fighter Sword is useful. It buffs the boots.
That we don't have.
The boots that we do not have.
Okay, just trying to get some clarity on that one.
And it is back to the mountain for jmeasher here. Got 2 checks on the Dark Mountain, plus potentially, between 1 and, I think, No, I don't think you can get all 5 items in Turtle Rock. Not without a fire rod. Because you would need like map compass on the right side and then an item on the boss, or just some combination of that to be able to have all the keys available.
I mean, I'm pretty sure that we can get all the way to everyone's favorite hammer mimic cave. So there's that.
That does very much depend on the key layout. If there's an item or a map compass big key in that first chest on the left side, you're just done.
No, because we have a small key, so we could take that key and then steal the lava chest.
I was very locked up in non-key sanity for some reason. I don't know. I had to get my brain out of inverted Turtle Rock logic, and then it just defaulted to normal Turtle Rock logic. Anyways, another pod key for jmeasher there. That's 4. Means he's not really rewarded for holding on to the one earlier.
Yeah, but at the same time, you don't want to make assumptions and then potentially get burned.
Yeah. At the same time, if pod is the crystal, then that does mean all 6 have to be available. And if it's the pendant, then you may not even be back there.
Sure, but that doesn't assume that all 6 are actually going to be readily available. Like, they can be available in terrible locations, especially in key sanity.
Yeah, I'm thinking with as few checks as we've got left, and hey, there's the crystal. So last pendant is down to pod or Skull Woods. Neither of which we can attempt to check right now.
So we still have Cave 45. We also have the front of Swamp that you had alluded to before.
We have the Smith chain, which goes real nicely with Cave 45.
That's a good point. I keep forgetting we have mitts. We can't exactly do anything with them, but we have them.
We're about to learn if we have any checks at all in Turtle Rock.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. There's a 2 in 3 chance that we're just not doing anything here. Well, never mind.
Yep, there's the 2.
It's alright. There's a more than 50% chance of it being in these next 2 checks, I feel.
And if it does turn out to be that case, we got the mirror, so we can just turn right back around and go in.
Although I feel like the medallion is more likely in Hookshot Cave than Super Bunny.
Okay, big key of pod. jmeasher can just go turn around and clear that dungeon now if he wants to. Meanwhile, we see McMonkey here using a combination of sword spins and hammer, which Master Sword spins do the same kind of damage as the hammer. So, good alternative because much better hitbox.
Meanwhile, jmeasher is headed back for Spike Cave, looks like. Yep.
Yeah, and we do know that this is essentially nothing. So McMonkey now off to the mountain. The only edge he's got over jmeasher here is the escape sequence and two extra checks in pod, the vanilla big key and the Stalfos basement. So
yeah, I believe so. I feel like at this point, Swamp is one of those locations that's been in the back of your mind for probably a good 15 minutes. And as, you start clearing stuff and more items and locations get taken off the docket, you're like, I don't want to do that, but it's still there.
Yes, but you also know that just among the community at large, and I can't I can't speak about either of these two runners specifically, aside from what I've seen of them in this race. But for the community at large, nobody likes doing Hookless Swamp. So you've got to think that if it comes down to that, and you're last locationing that, your opponent very likely is as well.
Sure, but that doesn't change the fact of like knowing that you could have completely and totally taken this seed by the horns had you done it, 15 minutes ago, if there is something there.
Yeah, but who does that, especially in a 1v1?
I can think of a couple people.
I see. Anyways, McMonkey, 4 pod keys, gonna be grabbing his big key as soon as he gets to Super Bunny Cave, which means he can continue following jmeasher on this route here, and presumably kill Helmosaur King. Although yeah, it is worth noting, jmeasher still not using that key on the front door.
I mean, at this point, it makes sense. You can just go ahead and knock everything out, and then never have to come back here ever, ever, ever again.
Yes, but at this point, that does mean taking the Bowlock side 3 times just in this one trip to pot if you want everything. Because you've got to do it to get to the big chest, and then you mirror out to avoid burning the key to get out of Dark Maze. You take it once to get to the boss here, and then you've got to take it a 3rd time just to get to the Vanilla Big Key.
Yeah, it's not a good place to be in, but with the ever-dwindling checks, I can't really say I blame him. Because, like, as much time as that's going to take, it's going to be far worse if the thing that you end up skipping, you have to come back for.
Right. It's just... Pod in Key Sanity is simultaneously fun and not fun without all 6 keys. But I guess I should say 5 keys, because you can just kind of assume hammer jump. But even then, being able to just do it immediately and walk out of the Dark Maze always feels nice. Is jmeasher trying to get spin speed without the boots to extend his hammer range?
Yeah, it didn't appear to be working there, but it's not an easy thing to pull off.
He's trying to get spin speed with the boots that we still don't have.
Exactly, not an easy thing to pull off.
It's okay though, he got the hammer hits, he got the dead Helmosaur. McMonkey's got his stuff off the mountain here, probably going to be fluting to 5 right here. And what's jmeasher rewarded with? The last pendant.
Yuck. It's just kind of an unfortunate sequence of events here.
Especially since if we pull a Bombos or a Fire Rod, Ice Palace becomes fully clearable for our last pendant.
Yeah, and that doesn't... And pulling either of those wouldn't really give us anything else to do either. Like, we could go jump into Turtle Rock for a little bit, or if we do pull the Fire Rod, we could go, check the back of Skull Woods, but it's not like we're going to be spoiled for choice if we get either one of those items.
Yeah, at least back of Skull Woods is 2 checks and a crystal. jmeasher showing... Did jmeasher actually get the Stalfos drop? He's on 12 checks. He did Harmless Hellway. So Big Chest will be 13, Vanilla Big Key will be... And he's just orphaning Vanilla Big Key, I guess, because he opened the front door this time? Although if he's going to open the front door, why not do it on the way to Helma? I'm slightly confused.
I think it may have been a situation where either he thought he had one more key than he did, or he didn't realize that it was going to be as arduous as you had pointed out the first time. So it was a situation where, yeah, I'm going to just go ahead and get everything, and then thinking about it, okay, I'm not doing this 2 more times.
Yeah, makes sense. It's just unfortunate time for him then that he spent on that the first time in that case. Meanwhile, we saw McMonkey hammer jumped for those same 10 arrows and is now off to kill Helma. Where's jmeasher off to?
I was going to say to check Pyramid and Escape, but that does not seem to be the case, so I'm not sure.
Yeah, looks like it's going to be Smith's for jmeasher then.
Yeah, Smith Chain, K45, and then probably giving Swamp some serious side-eye.
Yeah, because at this point, Smith Chain is probably actually the densest thing we've got between those 2 checks, Hammer Pegs, and K45.
Didn't jmeasher check everything here? Oh, right, big
He got
chest.
the big key.
Oh,
Right.
boy. Well,
Thanks, game. We very much needed that information right now.
yep, absolutely.
And McMonkey's showing pretty much the same strat jmeasher was using, just with less spins. You hold the sword out, that extends the hammer's range. If you have the boot, you can do a spin speed to get that range increase without having to hold the sword out. But, again, no boots, so just kind of gotta do this. And McMonkey, very hard isolating the harmless Elway here with the Skullwoods big key, but we did see that is not at all punished.
Yeah, just a map to, I believe it was Desert.
It was Desert, yes, which is a dungeon we have already cleared on both sides.
And it looks like McMonkey is going to be following jmeasher into the Smith Chain area, just without the big chest check because, well, doesn't have the big key.
And we've got bottle smiths today, which is always a fun one.
Would have been more fun had it been our first bottle and relatively convenient, but as it is, just an empty bottle.
Yep. Unfortunately, we are nowhere close to checking Pyramid Fairy, which means can't check and fill it up with that for free.
Yep, and Waterfall Fairy is both out of the way and only handing out green goos, so not super useful with that half magic we already have. Oh.
I think Swamp's getting a little bit more than a side-eye now.
Yeah, that's fair. The problem is that that was relatively early available, so...
Yeah, like they both could have gotten that immediately after Thieves Town, which was the second thing they did in the Dark World. It just turned out they both started at Hype Cave and they both went over to Dig Game from there, which pretty well isolated that location until Smith Chain here.
Exactly.
Purple chest turn in just the 11th heart of the seed, but jmeasher taking that portal means that, yeah, we're going right back into Swamp.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, hook shot in hand, you get your butt in the swamp, like, right now. It's just without the hook shot that I was having an issue with it.
Yeah. Unfortunately, no Swamp Palace big key means that, again, we're isolating a check here. But the seed could put that big key on Laser Bridge for an ice shot in that chest with like fire rod on Argus or something.
Why do you say terrible things? Reg, who hurt you?
I'm explicitly feeling the need to point out what this game considers legal, as awful as it may be.
I mean, yeah, all is legal in love, war, and key sanity.
It's just the big key for Swamp Palace has absolutely no bearing on the rest of the dungeon whatsoever.
Oh, McMonkey did not grab that purple chest, so that is going to be one less heart for him.
Yeah, I think if he's probably kicking himself about it now, but once he hits go mode, assuming he never goes back to it, he'll just be like, yeah, whatever.
Speaking of things that aren't being checked, I do wonder if jmeasher is just going to flat out skip all of Escape.
He will be down a sword if he never checks Escape.
Right, but depending on where those other swords are and where everything else shows up, that just might not end up being relevant.
It might not be, yeah. If he's entering GT on Fighter Sword, that's when it gets pretty spooky, though.
Yeah, that's fair. I just feel like at this point, if he doesn't get Pyramid Fairy as a set of checks, Escape is not going to get looked at.
Yeah, especially because after they finish Swamp here, they can go straight to Mire with that hook shot as well. And very likely to be even more progression between those two dungeons to pull them away from the pyramid.
Exactly, especially in Key Sanity. Mire is next to useless item-wise in regular seeds, even though it does tend to have something in spite of only those 2 checks. But in Key Sanity, there's 8, so it's definitely calling you. As we pull powder out of the south of Swamp, so that's kind of a fun thing to have.
Would have been more fun to have when they were turning the Smith in, but oh well.
Yeah, but to be fair, with the flutes, doesn't really make too much of a difference.
Yeah, flute plus hammer does make that not a terrible check. Also, while jmeasher's headed to left side Swamp and McMonkey's kind of following him, I do want to reiterate what this race means to each runner. jmeasher sitting at 4-1 in this group. If he wins, he goes to 5-1. If he loses, he's at 4-2. Either way, he is locked in as the top seed coming out of this group, which means that he is only really playing to improve his bracket seed because the 5-1s get seeded higher than the 4-2s. Meanwhile, if McMonkey loses this match, he is eliminated. And the match between Rob J. Beasley and Alex Chess 2 becomes a win and end match for both of those runners, because McMonkey, Alex, and Rob all sitting at 2 and 3 right now. But if McMonkey wins, Rob is eliminated, and McMonkey will advance to the top 64 if Rob beats Alex Chess. So McMonkey needs a win here and some help. Meanwhile, Rob, if he's around, is probably jmeasher's biggest fan right now. Yes, and hello, Rob is in chat. Hello, Rob.
Meanwhile, left side of Swamp having a small key for Desert, which is wonderful. As you mentioned, we might very well be going to Mire after this, so might as well check those 2 items over on the right-hand side of Desert while we're there.
Yeah, getting the Desert small key after having already cleared Desert never feels great, but this is about as good of a situation as you could ask for it.
Exactly. This one doesn't feel too bad at all. It will be interesting to see the sword difference for some of these bosses, though, especially on something like Argus, where, having a fighter sword is just yuck.
Well, first phase of Argus with the fighter sword isn't too bad because you can just do double spins. But the second phase, with no rods, no silvers, just a fighter sword, that's pretty ugly.
The first phase is also difficult. Like, if you have the strat down, you can quickly get it done, but it's also really easy to mess up.
Well, it's a lot easier to mess up if you're going for doubles, but if you're just going for single puffs, it's not too bad.
That's fair. But then that very much lengthens your amount of time killing the boss, so...
Yeah, and we do have Raid Party coming in from SpeedGaming 3. Hello, everybody. You're joining a race in progress between McMonkey and jmeasher, where you can see now they're both in the depths of Swamp Palace here. And as far as checks go, the only real difference between these runners is that McMonkey, who is behind on the swamp route, has done the pyramid and escape checks, which netted him an extra sword. Other than that, these runners have done pretty much the same things. Which is to say, it's a rather tight race right now.
Yep, we have Swamp here that we're finishing up, and then in all likelihood, both our runners are going to be heading over to Mire, hoping to grab something in the 8 checks that became available when we pulled the hook shot out of Cave 45. After that, I think we're just kind of hoping to find something to point us in a direction.
Yep. Although I'll tell you what's not pointy is that hammer that jmeasher just hit Argus 4 times with.
I don't have a pawn, I'm sorry.
I knew you did, and that's why I gave that one. Although that one wasn't really even a pun either. But McMonkey doing a good job with the double spins. jmeasher did a good job with them earlier too. And you can see, I mean, really, there's not any difference between Fighter Sword and Master Sword on Phase 1 Argus. Because the double spins are pretty free. McMonkey, unfortunately, getting stuck on the no puffs cycle there. That always feels bad. Yeah, 4 spins versus 4 hammer hits. Spins probably marginally faster.
That's also a bit easier to time.
Yes, because much wider hit timing for that. It's the same concept as fighting Silverless Ganon, really. But that does put both runners on 5 dungeons cleared, 3 crystals, 2 pendants. jmeasher going in, looking for something on the right side of desert before going properly into Misery Mire here, because to be blunt, his equipment kind of sucks for a Vidi fight.
Yeah, to be blunt, like his Fighter Sword. Oh.
That's required.
I mean, it is, but it also kind of points you at the pyramid and kind of an
And with jmeasher also having Cape in hand, that sword is a huge pull for the Vidi fight.
Yes, that is enormous.
It looks like McMonkey is going to maintain sword advantage, though.
Yeah, that could have been a huge swing in the other direction, but McMonkey gonna grab that tempered sword, so that'll be nice. That'll actually make Vidi relatively easy. Tempered sword is quite a bit quicker.
Yeah, tempered sword lets people use the strats that they are most familiar with, which in the speedrun case is damage boosting using the goo to get spins on the eyes. But Master Sword plus Cape, you can just turn on the Cape, and the magic drain is really slow if you spam the sword fast enough. So you can just use that to deal with all the small eyes and then arrow the big one.
So we need 2 rods.
We need 2 rods and a Turtle Rock small key and an Eastern Palace big key.
2 rods and a couple of keys. That's not terrible, all things considered.
Nah, not at all. And especially with Ice Palace available to us with that Bombos pull, we've got a lot of checks to pull them in.
Yep, and now we have 1 more with that shovel.
Yeah, that one's kind of way out of the way, though. Feels bad.
I mean, you can check it right after you do powder, I guess.
That's... It would be faster to save and quit or flip back to 4 to do that.
Probably, but that's as close as you're going to get to rounding anything in at this point.
Yeah, Hookshot Cave plus Turtle Rock sounds added in to me.
I mean, yeah, but do you really want to walk into Turtle Rock with no rods? You can. It's a key sanity, and we do have enough to do stuff in Turtle Rock without either rod. It just doesn't sound fun.
Yeah, it's really not. But I'm wondering if either runner chooses that combination of locations over Ice Palace here.
I think if I was missing one rod, I would throw caution to the wind and just do it. But with missing 2, I don't know. Hookshot Cave makes it difficult though, because that is 4 more checks.
So what if I said you could save your portal at the end of Turtle Rock?
I mean, you can, but then you're severely limited on what you can check. And Ice Palace would not be one of those things.
You could just clear Ice Palace and then die. We haven't killed Ganon.
Oh, that's fair. You could do that. You would also be able to get the hammer pegs, magic bat out of the way as well. So yeah, that is an option, I guess. It's just a strat that's so rarely seen.
It would be a really nice aggressive play for one of these runners, though. But it would be aggressive without being to the point of reckless. I am really hoping to see it. jmeasher has cleared everything out. The only thing we've seen is that shovel, I believe. So, on to the boss.
Yep, nothing but the shovel. And a little bit of health, which is always nice to come across, I guess.
Yeah. Going from, what, 11 to 14? Always nice. Meanwhile, I guess McMonkey is a heart behind because he accidentally dropped the purple chest at Cave 45 when transitioning worlds. And that had a heart container in it. But he's never going back there.
So we have we missed anything? Other than our 2 fun little fetch quests, being Powder and Shovel, and then the big decision between Ice Palace, potentially Green Pendant, and Ped, versus heading into TR and Hookshot Cave.
I don't think we have.
With obviously us still waiting on Boots and or Book to give us some more checks that we can do. And I guess Fire Rod to actually be able to do, Skull Woods.
Yeah, Fire Rod is kind of the biggest item right now, although I think both of these runners would be thrilled to see Ice Rod first.
Oh, absolutely. There's far less places that Fire Rod can be in. So,
I mean, you say that, but it's really only 4, 5 less places.
Exactly, but that means we don't have to go look at those places if Fire Rods are going.
Yeah, but we also do still need keys on top of it all.
Yeah, we're not going to talk about those.
Well, you say that. Just remember when Eastern Palace Big Chest turns out to be a check in however many minutes.
That was a really clean Vinny fight by McMonkey.
Yeah, like we saw jmeasher do a good job with the spins on the Master Sword. We saw McMonkey showing off why the Tempered Sword is actually literally just twice as good.
Yeah, that thing shredded Vinny. And the interesting thing is, for pretty much all of the Dark World bosses, it's the same thing.
Yep. Also, just for chat, talking about it, discussing it, McMonkey is using an MSU that is acoustic guitar remixes of several various Super Nintendo songs. And it's actually pretty nice. I'm a fan of it.
It is a very relaxing vibe. I thoroughly enjoy it. I don't think I've ever heard it before, and I'm really digging it.
Yep. Meanwhile, I guess we got both runners here clearing out the fetch quests first and foremost instead of choosing the dungeons. Shovel, we've seen twice now, is useless. Magic Bat here. Gotta wait a sec. Oh, McMonkey's skipping Magic Bat, going straight for Ice. Big key. Eastern, required. Yeah, that was the only one it could have been. That's the only one we didn't have.
I can't believe that this seed snuck up on us by giving us all of the big keys except for Eastern, and we just didn't notice. I feel like there's always like one or two that are just hanging out.
Yeah. Also, chat's calling me a liar, and rightfully so. Like, I've kind of been enjoying the MSU without paying much attention to it, so I admit that there's a wider variety of songs than I initially thought. But regardless, it's nice. But I've got to listen to you more than I've got to listen to the music.
I'm so very sorry. So this is kind of an interesting set of divergence here because jmeasher turned in that powder and got an Eastern big key for it, so is rather understandably going to jump his button here and take out a crystal. And in addition to having 2 checks here, McMonkey, meanwhile, is going to be doing the pendant route, so we'll see what happens here.
jmeasher's got a 3rd check if he wants to commit to or uncommit to the skip.
Oh, that's fair. I'd completely forgotten about that.
I did too until I saw his item count on his compass.
And this man saying that compasses are useless. Get out of here.
Look, I'm saying they're useless to the players, not useless to us.
I mean, I don't know. We don't know that jmeasher isn't sitting there going, wait, 3? Which one did I... Oh, right.
That was the least useful map in the game right there. Even less useful than the map of Hyrule Castle.
Oh,
and Ice Palace required.
That's required.
Now, if you're McMonkey, I think you still want to go to Magic Bat first. Just so that, like, on the off chance Fire Rod is in Eastern, you don't have to come back to that later, but he is in good position to save his portal.
Yeah, I feel like at this point you have few enough checks. Like, I would honestly just go check Magic Bat, turn in green pendant, and go check Ped. Like, I would just get it done. Because then it's not worth it. I'd rather check those 3 things really quick and then know that I'm not leaving anything behind, rather than, hoping.
Yeah, I suppose so. Because even if you do successfully save the portal for Turtle Rock, you still have to climb the mountain again to get back up to it.
Exactly. It's still a pain in the butt either way.
Unfortunately, the rest of Ice Palace coming up pretty empty. But that Ice Rod is a big enough pull that it is a big advantage for McMonkey if jmeasher goes to Turtle Rock next.
Yeah, and at this point, we're only looking at needing, 2 more items, so...
Yeah, that Fire Rod and a Turtle Rock small key that is increasingly likely to be vanilla.
Or... Nope, never mind. Is that...
Yeah.
I think that's our 6th pod.
That is the 6th pod, and that puts Ped fully in logic.
Yeah.
Although, at this point, knowing that that's where that 6 key is, I think, yeah, McMonkey immediately going and pulling it would probably be surprisingly useful.
Really nice.
Yeah. He got out of the corner, but not that far out of it. So still rather well done.
And I think we actually are getting a pyramid fairy check here.
Yep, the Eastern Mire cleared. jmeasher can leverage this into Pyramid Ledge and Escape as well, which means he will even up the sword disadvantage, but that will take a decent chunk of time.
And that's honestly, at this point, even if he decides to go into Escape, I'm not saying he won't, but at this point, if you've skipped it for this long, are you gonna go mess around with it?
And it's a very valid option to do so.
It is, but it's also a valid option to just kind of go,
yeah,
look, I'm an hour and a half in, I didn't check Escape. If there's something here, I've lost anyways.
Yeah, like that's the mentality for skipping it, and the mentality for going in is that he will literally never be closer to it than he is now.
Absolutely, yeah. Green Pendant, meanwhile, not coming up with anything, so I imagine we're going to get a Magic Bat and or Ped check, and I think we're going to go the Ped route first.
Yeah, Ped first, and then you can flute back, do the Magic Bat. Actually, chat raising a good point. He could leverage this into a purple chest check as well to make up for that mistake earlier by just walking out of here and using the Dark World portal.
Also a fair point. With flute in hand, that's a pretty quick check. Alrighty, so likely to be nothing, but there are a couple things on the list it could be. What do we got? Just $50.
Unfortunate. I was expecting it to be a Turtle Rock small key, which would have meant logically required, but practically skippable.
Not if the fire rod's in that lava chest.
Yeah, true. Lava chest would mean that you need all four, and that just kind of bites.
I'm just saying. I mean, this rando decided to be thematically appropriate with the Ice Rod and Ice Palace. It's a thing.
Yeah, that's just it making up for not following the rule of fire, though.
I'm afraid to ask what the rule of fire is. If you get one, the other one's an ice?
Yep.
Fair enough.
And here, McMonkey gonna grab the purple chest, gonna take it to Magic Bat, presumably turn it in, get his 14 tartan, and off to Eastern with him.
So now the big question ends up being, is jmeasher going to go into Ice Palace?
Well, he's gonna do Dark Cross first. But then, I mean, it's either that or Hookshot Cave plus Turtle Rock. And we kind of know that there's something in both locations at this point, because what else is even left?
Right, exactly. But if the fire rod is what's up the mountain, then that's really rough.
Well, remember, just take an overworld death and you can save your portal that way.
Still a second climb, though.
Yeah, but beats not being able to save it at all.
Fair. That picket in front of Ice Palace is going to get some work.
Actually, there is one potential snag to this, and that is if the fire rod is exactly on Bombo's tablet. Or it's not big chest.
I mean, look, if it's in either of those locations, we're just done anyways.
Yeah, those locations are exceptionally bad, just because those are the only two mirror checks left. But yeah, for anybody who may have shown up late, we've got these two runners. jmeasher is on an Ice Rod hunt. He's about to find it. Both runners need a Fire Rod and a Turtle Rock small key to be able to complete this seed. And jmeasher basically in the same position, but We've seen every check outside of what's left on Dark Death Mountain between these two, which is Hookshot Cave hasn't been checked at all, and then what we can do inside of Turtle Rock and Mimic Cave.
So with jmeasher doing this, if McMonkey decides to go check Pyramid Fairy, we'll have pretty much everything caught up, I believe. And then it'll just be a matter of go, 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 go.
And I think McMonkey is going to actually come out slightly faster.
It does seem that way, yeah.
Although I don't think it's going to be by enough to really say he's got more than a slight edge.
It's also going to depend on what jmeasher does. jmeasher could feasibly pull this ice rod and then say, I'm out, we'll go find the fire rod and TR, since he does have much less to check than McMonkey does. So
that is going to be his very next check. So if he's going to do that, we'll see in just a moment here. Okay, he is continuing.
There's also the possibility of skipping the green pendant and or ped, so those are quite a bit more out of the way than the rest of these four.
Right.
Or for that matter, equally, McMonkey deciding to forego the Pyramid Fairy.
Yeah, I do think at this point that one might be slightly less likely than jmeasher forgoing at least one of ped or... But I think they're both going to check everything they've got before headed up the mountain.
Yep, looks like it.
Yeah. For anybody who in chat who may be less familiar with Key Sanity, you do not need the Skullwoods big key to clear Skullwoods. There is no big door in that dungeon. And similarly, Swamp Palace also does not require the big key. They both have big chests that can only be opened by the big key. But there are no big doors, so they're not actually required to beat the dungeon. And in normal modes, it's actually not uncommon to see those keys locked in their own chests, forever unreachable.
Which is always kind of fun.
Yeah, it's fun until you're trying to 216 location a seed without disabling that option.
I mean, I feel like if you really wanted to, you would just change the logic from items to locations. Just to make sure you don't have to play like 4 seeds. Because you could equally do the same thing with the Thieves Town Small.
Yeah, well, Thieves Town Small in particular can be routed around.
That's fair.
Harris Small is locked in its own basement, and the big keys locked in their own chest cannot be.
Green goos all around for this game.
And nice cold stare kill on jmeasher's part, doing even better than the one McMonkey showed us.
Alright, so to the mountain for McMonkey, I believe.
Yeah, and then jmeasher likely just pull ped, turning green pendant, and mountain for him as well.
And it does seem like the play that you had mentioned beforehand of just aggressively coming up here as soon as you had the ice rod or the fire rod, as the case may be, but in this case, ice rod, and just banking on saving a portal if it came down to it. It looks like that's going to be best case scenario because, I mean, unless we literally have a situation where they pull the book out of, the first chest or second chest and then immediately go check Bombo's tablet, you're going to be doing that anyways.
Yeah, Bombo's tablet and Swamp Big Chest are still the big pain points for that. jmeasher gonna get his $50. Unfortunately, we know there's no hype to be had here. jmeasher go into the dark world to turn in his green pendant? Did he have any checks left in pot?
Yep, he has the big key chest, I believe.
Yeah, and McMonkey did have Harmless Hellway, but said no to that.
Actually, did McMonkey check the big key chest? I'm not sure he did.
I am fairly confident he did. Okay, there's the small key that we needed. So Fire Rod is go mode now.
Unless, of course, that fire rod is in the lava chest.
Unless, yes.
Which, that could be an interesting situation, too, because even if we do have the fourth small key in TR, if it's sitting on Laser Bridge, for instance, then that could be like a turnaround sort of point. Which I believe both of our runners would just immediately do, unless, of course, this last check here for jmeasher ends up being a TR small, which would be truly fascinating. But
I don't think it will be, though, because I'm pretty sure McMonkey checked it. Tracker Relican's backing us up on that.
Okay, cool.
Also, Chad asking about the potential for tiebreakers in this group. There is actually no potential for a tiebreaker race here. If McMonkey and Rob win, then McMonkey advances. If Alex wins, he advances regardless of the result of this race. So no tiebreaker races.
Like, we like seeing the boots, except for right now.
Yeah, because that is 2 extra checks. Although that is A, 2 extra checks that we can save a portal for if we need to, and B, removes any nonsense possibilities in Ganon's tower.
That's fair, yeah. The torch is now not something to be concerned about.
Yep. jmeasher about to join McMonkey in Turtle Rock here. We did see the lava chest skip, which is totally expected and normal when you're on 3 small keys.
So are we anticipating the fire rod being in TR or outside of it?
I'm kind of expecting it to be in at this point, but that's just law of numbers.
Right. Finding a Book of Medora here would make that a bit more even.
Mothula now in logic, if we could get to him.
And the checks continue. We still have quite a few left here in TR, but...
Yeah, Crystal Roller Room plus 4 on Laser Bridge. And Chad asking about the Skullwoods Big Key. That was in the Harmless Hellway that McMonkey skipped, but it was only hiding a map, and there's the go mode.
Okay, so that's not actually fully terrible. We are going to have to jump off the mountain and then come back, but that was, that's relatively common for Insanity, so.
We were going to have to do that anyways the moment they set foot on it.
Right. With the exception of pulling the book out of here and then grabbing the fire rod out of Ether Tablet.
Even then, they would have had to leave the mountain for the same reason they do now.
Yeah, it's still ugly.
Yeah, and not even checking Laser Bridge because Gold Sword doesn't really do anything for him. He knows that the silvers are on Lumberjack, has Red Mail, has Half Magic, has Powder. What else does he want?
And with the 3 GT smalls, means that GT is not going to be an issue either, because that is something to keep in mind.
Yeah, because GT small keys, 3 is functionally all of them as long as you don't open the middle door, which I'm not going to name names on who would do that. It has happened before, very long time ago. Oh, and chat's right, jmeasher didn't go to Hookshot Cave, meaning he's missing a Turtle Rock small key that was in there. There could still be one on Laser Bridge, it is fairly likely to be even, but that's a bit spooky for him.
Yeah, because all we pretty much have left at that point are the 2 boots locations.
The 2 boots locations and the 2 in the back of Skull Woods.
Right. As well as potentially a witch check and or tablet checks if we get the appropriate things here in TR.
Yeah, but both of those are just probably in GT.
Most likely, yeah. Meanwhile, to Skullwoods we go.
Yep. McMonkey's just got to shred himself in Moth and he will be off to the tower.
Yep, with every dungeon done except for Aga.
Yeah, a little unfortunate how that turned out, but sometimes the seed be like that. And besides that, there was something required in every dungeon, I believe.
Yep, Mitts in Pod, Mirror in Thieves Town, and Ice Rod in Ice Palace.
Yep. And really, especially in Key Sanity, once you're in those dungeons, especially as deep as those items were in there, you're not going to bail out once you find them.
Alright, jmeasher, meanwhile 0 for 2.
3 down, no key. Looking pretty nervous. He only finds that gold sword that McMonkey had no interest in and no real need for. So, knowing that the key is in Hookshot Cave, this is a bit of an awkward portal save. But jmeasher leaving, gonna do Skullwoods first. Maybe the 4th one's in there and he can just take the overworld death after killing Moth.
McMonkey, meanwhile, almost got 1.0 heading into Moth.
That would have been very highly unfortunate, but he still would have been in good shape from what we know now, even if. Is Mothula dead for him? And just 20 rupees.
Alright, so all that fun being had, there are 22 locations in the basement of GT. One of them has the big key. Reg, let's hear it. What's your guess?
Well, my favorite number is the number 10. That corresponds to a chest. I don't know or care which one it is. McMonkey's going to pull the big key out of it.
Wow. Feeling relatively certain of ourselves.
Well, I mean, I had one really good prediction already this seed, which means that my second one is not going to come.
I mean, there's still a chance.
Yeah, chat's having fun though. They're getting their numbers in there. I see a lot of 12s.
Which is interesting, as I don't traditionally think of 12 as pertaining to any particular chest, so I feel like it's just a nice round number, I suppose.
I think if you do a right side route, 12 is the Fire Snake ring.
That's fair, but I feel like the routing in GT for Key Sanity is a lot more up for discussion.
Yeah. Especially because you don't need to worry about like doing the left side before going to the right for small keys, like in Stalfos Rim or anything, so... jmeasher now on 6 crystals with that Moth kill, but still needs to get Turtle Rock small key out of Hookshot Cave or somewhere. If there's nothing in this under the bridge chest here, then it's literally only Hookshot Cave for him.
Alright, so this is either going to be a hope room to left side or right side all the way to compass room.
Yeah, chat reminding me there are boost checks.
Yeah, we don't really want to talk about those though, as we just pull a compass.
Okay, is jmeasher going to take the overworld death here or save the portal? Okay, he's taking the death, he knows.
Yeah, it's just unfortunate with red mail as those things do in half a heart apiece.
Yeah, it's going to be a few seconds.
Yep.
Sorry, a block got thrown just a bit too far. Also, for chat talking about the GT Big Key, remember that the Tournament Key Sanity mode does limit it to be somewhere in the Ganon's Tower basement. So jmeasher cannot find the Ganon's Tower Big Key until he gets to Ganon's Tower.
On that note, upcoming is check number 7 on the torch, and we keep moving.
Yep. So, miserable find for jmeasher.
Yep.
You hate to see it. You really do.
I mean, at this point, the key sanity seed is just laughing. Like it's just laughing. I would not be terribly surprised to see a mushroom here in this check, just because it's all we have left.
Yeah, at least mushroom, he could save the portal. Big key to split power. The nice bait there.
The big key to not the one you needed.
Yeah, but that does mean now that the only thing we have not seen, at least, is the mushroom. Because even though we're not picking them up, we have seen the arrows. They are on the lumberjack. jmeasher going to show them to us again, actually, because he didn't check this at the start of the race.
Meanwhile, we are at check number 12, having been completed for McMonkey. So next upcoming is going to be 13 and onwards.
McMonkey failed that boomerang strat in a way that I've never seen before. That was kind of amusing.
Yeah, the double switch? I don't think I've ever seen that.
Yeah, it means he was too fast.
That must be an interesting problem to have. Alright, so we have 14 through 17 upcoming. And then everyone's favorite Bob's Chest at 18, Vanilla Room at 19 through 21, and the room that we will not speak of at 22.
Yeah. Small key to... Okay. I guess... Okay, there we go. 15. Actually, 16 because he didn't pull the torch.
Yep, 16. And Ether Tablet is a small key. There we go. Look at that.
Yep. There were no other small keys it could be. So jmeasher kind of gets bailed out, but ultimately still lost a ton of time on that. Good news is his portal is intact, so he can just jump down right to Laser Bridge, does not have to redo the dungeon. But he is... Is his portal not intact? Or is he not going to it?
It should be intact.
He used the mirror. Apparently, he used the mirror to get to Harrow while we were looking at jmeasher doing GT checks.
jmeasher.
So, unfortunately, jmeasher not bailed out.
Alrighty, so upcoming we have a gauntlet. We do have at least one green goo on McMonkey's side, so if he wants to go Fire Rod's Insanity and just blow everything up, that is a possibility. I do believe we're going to be seeing bow strats instead, though, requiring a bit more skill.
Yeah, notably not using the silver arrows because nothing in the gauntlet really demands them.
Well, also because those silver arrows are on Lumberjack and we don't have them.
Yeah. Sorry, jmeasher looked at them and I was like, hey, silver arrows, even though I've been talking all day about how we don't have them. My brain is... It exists, I promise.
Your brain is Thursday, it's fine.
Yeah, we are an hour and 53 into this race, though, and McMonkey is entering lane mode 2.
Yeah, this seed was really one of those, it's like, oh, you said you could finish this in under 2 hours? Prove it!
Yeah, but the rest of the climb, even silverless Ganon, I do think McMonkey probably cuts 2 hours here. It'll probably be close, though.
Oh, I believe so, yeah, but it's going to be close. It's going to be a, you had to earn this sub too.
And McMonkey opting for lamp strats in Torches 1, despite having the green potion, doesn't want to burn it here.
Still being quick enough to sneak around that fire bar.
Yeah, it's not super easy to do that.
Alrighty, and with Gold Sword, there's not going to be much to try next, unless you forget to quick swap.
He did not go for the 0 cycle there, but gets the 1 cycle still. So, it's all good. And that is Trinex down for jmeasher, 7 crystals. And now just how quick can he get to Rando Room?
Meanwhile, Moldorm 2 not posing much of a threat on the McMonkey side. We are skipping the final chest of the game and heading into everyone's favorite math test.
Yeah, because there's literally nothing McMonkey could pull here that he would even slightly care about.
I mean, 17 hearts is nice.
Yeah, but you're already at 16 red mail. Who cares?
But what about the mushroom?
You're not going to turn it in. Almost. Nice. Triple there. Just 2 doubles.
Oh, man. Just missing 3 of these shots differently. Like, it was right on it for that.
Yeah, that was really, really close to a 2 cycle from McMonkey, but wound up turning into a 4 cycle because of a blue ball.
And because of, like, literally 3 shots that missed by the skin of Aga's teeth.
Yep. jmeasher not going down to the compass room, so he's going to be somewhat faster to get the big key. But McMonkey dropping into the Ganon fight here. It's not quite going to overturn the race.
Nice double spin there off the trident to get the weird facing Ganon, which happens.
Yep, and McMonkey with half magic, green potion in hand, just going to use the cape to get the 1 cycle phase 2, free and easy.
Yep, now we see how much procrastination Ganon feels like doing. So far, so good. Oh, and I open my mouth.
Still pretty good.
Yeah, very good.
Did you find the arrows? Yes, we did. Did we grab them? Absolutely not.
That was really clean. That was a long shot, fire rod shot there.
Yep. Which, it's not the hardest thing in the world to time, but to nail it in a high-pressure race setting, where if McMonkey were to lose this race, and he has no idea where jmeasher is, but if McMonkey were to lose this race, he would be eliminated from the tournament. Meanwhile, jmeasher, he's locked in top seed out of this group regardless.
Not to mention the fact that fire rod shot from across the room just looks cool.
Yeah, and that's kind of where I was going with it. McMonkey in a very high pressure situation. So even if that setup is theoretically not super difficult to time, it's hard. It certainly is not free under pressure. But McMonkey, that was really clean phase 4 Ganon there. Just kept nailing the triples while I was talking about it. And he's going to cross the bridge around the same time that jmeasher picks up his big key and finish with a time of 1:58.33. And jmeasher gonna continue up the tower.
Yep, not much left with this race, stringing both of our runners along for as much as they could. I don't think I've ever seen someone dash into the wall with the spikes there, though. Normally it gets you before you get there.
And we are joined here by McMonkey. GG, congratulations. So you are still alive in the tournament, still got a chance to advance. How big a fan of Rob are you right now?
Yeah, I'm currently the biggest fan of Rob. I will be wearing my Rob jersey. It's a throwback. It'll be exciting. I'm not sure. I don't think I've seen when that's scheduled yet, but I will be watching with bated breath for sure.
It is tomorrow at 5:10 p.m. Eastern.
Friday night. Sounds good. I'll grab a 4-pack of beer and sit back and watch Rob and root mine.
And just to reiterate for chat, to understand the implications here, jmeasher locked in as the top seed of this group, even with the loss. McMonkey needs Rob to win to advance. If Alex just wins that race, then Alex advances instead. But with that out of the way, again, GG, congratulations. Cool seed, right? You managed to clear it in under 2 hours.
Yeah, with pet and all. Yeah, it was pretty frustrating early with the lack of rupees, the lack of bombs, but and it never really broke wide open. I mean, even when I got the mitts, it didn't really open a whole lot at that point. So it felt like this was a pretty narrow view for most of the seed.
Yeah, I feel like the only thing that really could have, I'm not going to say sped it up, but opened it up more for you guys would have been getting that hook shot earlier. But you both routed the seed in very similar ways, especially in the early game. So the height cave to big game route kind of meant you weren't getting that until after the mitts.
Yeah, and when I saw the hook shot, I was initially worried about it, but realized it's probably a 50-50 shot that jmeasher did the same thing that I did and got to cave 45 late. So and I was on the way to swamp, so it was good timing to pick up the hook shot to be able to full clear swamp, go into mire, all that stuff. So the routing of when I picked up the hook shot worked out.
Yeah, I'm not sure if you discussed it in the race room. I don't have that open right now, but the end game basically came down to jmeasher skipping the hookshot cave, which had the turtle rock key that he would have needed to clear.
Yeah, that's rough. I've certainly been there before where, whether it's just forgetting something or marking it off prematurely and then not doing it. I actually almost in Pod Dark Maze, I was already thinking of next steps and walked right past one of the chests and remembered quick enough to go back and grab it. And it wasn't anything important, but yeah, that's always a danger.
Yeah, it's one of those things, like you said, you start thinking 2-3 steps ahead, especially in a key sanity type mode. And sometimes that happens.
I will say, I feel like a lot of the time that you ended up gaining was actually in the very beginning with the bombs from those pickles, because jmeasher did not get any bombs, and obviously there weren't any in Kakariko at all, or any money for that matter. So there was not double dipping that for you, which I feel like saved just a boatload of time early game.
Yeah, that definitely bailed me out, and the fact that the pickles, they all dropped for me. right? I think I killed 3 pickles and they all dropped a bomb for me. So
Yeah.
it would have taken, even knowing that they drop bombs, it could have taken a bunch of tries to kill enough of them to get 3 bombs, which is what I'd be looking for to get through CAC. I might have bailed with 2, and that would not have worked out because there just weren't any bombs anywhere.
Yeah, like entering Kakariko on 0 bombs, 0 rupees is feels bad. We do have jmeasher did complete his Agatu fight. It looked very similar to yours. And he is now dropping into Ganon with a gold sword in hand. So yeah, that's phase 1 done. Phase 2 is going to be done 3, 4, 5, 6. That's phase 2 done. He's just got to dodge fire bats, deal with the friendly warp patterns, and just get a few spins in.
I will say, I feel like this seed even spoiled the boots, because not only was it super late, but it was at a point where you were just looking for one more item, please, and the boots are like, "Hey, look, I'm a fetch quest." It's like, no.
Yeah, although at the point that I went into TR, I knew I was going back down the mountain at least one more time anyway, because I didn't have Fire Rod yet. So, finding the boots wasn't that big of a deal. This is 2 of my 6 seeds that had very late boots, though, and it's strongly not my preference.
Yeah, I can't imagine there are many people who would prefer that, but yeah. It feels especially bad, I feel like, because we've got Ambrosia, which is a boots hint mode. I think jmeasher's on 8 spins now, give or take.
Yeah. Oh, never mind. Was that 9 already? There we go. I was going to say I thought he had one more sequence, but was able to finish it off there.
Yep. And well done for jmeasher here. Just got to wait for the fanfare to finish, and that'll be GG for him. And that is the bridge. The time of 2 hours, 5 minutes, and 16 seconds on the done. So we'll see if... Yeah, he'll be joining us just a second here. And hello, GG's jmeasher.
GG.
Yeah, GG's.
So I just realized that the Triforce text was talking about a great investment, and I would like to point out that you guys both gave Zora money at the exact same moment for big 20s. So
That's funny.
Yeah, you guys were actually frame for frame for that for a couple minutes. I'm trying to remember where exactly you guys diverged on that.
I'm not sure, but still a better investment than crypto, I guess. Yeah. I don't know. It's feels like a lifetime ago at this point. So
it really does.
Not sure.
Yeah, good news for you, jmeasher. You still got the top seed in this group overall. You're taking a top 32 going into brackets even with this result. So can rest a little bit easy knowing that.
Yeah, it was definitely good for me to get off to a fast start in the group. Basically ensuring myself for these last 2 games that I would be able to make it to brackets. And really, at the end of the day, I think you just kind of have to make that your goal. It would have been nicer to finish 5-1 or 6-0 and have a higher seed, but at this point, how much more does that help? I'm not sure it makes all that much difference. So, yeah, I think my goal was achieved. Just unfortunate mistakes I made in both these races.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I feel like this time, I don't know if you saw, but Hookshot Cave was the key that you missed with that Turtle Rock key. Would have been your 3rd one.
Yeah, I had a really great moment after I beat Turtle Rock where I was running to GT and I just kind of looked at that boulder there and I was like, that's not supposed to be there.
Yeah.
and at that point, I was already thinking that the last TR small key had to be in the front of TR, behind the fire rod, because there was basically nothing left in the seed for me.
Yeah, there was actually nothing.
Yeah, so
McMonkey's collection rate is 172, and that's with about half of GT basement skipped.
Yeah, so I was like, as soon as I saw that, I was like, oh, man, I really threw this one away if Hookshot Cave had that TR small, because that would have saved me 6-7 minutes easy.
Yeah, it would have been really close at that point,
Because you guys
especially
were,
because
you were
McMonkey
within a
went to
minute.
Compass Room. Yeah.
Yeah, so like you said, I was already already guaranteed to make it through. So if I'm gonna make mistakes like this, might as probably better off here than being in brackets. But definitely some stuff to clean up.
Yeah. But now you've got week and a half or so to refocus and get ready for that, which good luck in the bracket stage.
Thank you.
And I guess for McMonkey, your fate is unfortunately not in your hands as we discussed. We'll see how that shakes out tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, the groups are so tough. Everybody's said this all along the way. So, whatever happens, it's a fun tournament, and there's so many good runners now. So, I can't be too disappointed. Splitting my games in groups, that's achieves one goal for me, and if I make brackets, that's a nice bonus.
Yeah, we say it every year, but the level really does go up every year. So being able to even just stay competitive in groups, even if it's questionable whether or not you'll advance on the last couple days, that's a pretty solid result. Anyways, I guess, is there anything that either of you guys wanted to bring up and discuss on this seed, or I guess floor is open if either of you want it?
I did want to say that opening was hilariously awful. There was nothing. It was so barren.
You entered CAC on 0 rupees, 0 bombs. Yeah, we did learn on McMonkey's side early on that the pickle enemies were in the bomb pack.
Yeah, and
I think you killed one and didn't get a drop though.
Possibly, there's an argument to be made in a key sandy that you should just go up and check. I don't like checking lumberjack without boots, so I don't feel like it makes much sense.
It is a big extra chance just to farm kills, tree pulls, bushcraft.
Yeah, and at every point I was like, well, I mean, surely I'm gonna get something in the next few checks. Like if I had realized how bad it was gonna be early on, I would have done a lot more farming. Try to get into the refill hut and CAC. Do Houlihan before going South Shore. So yeah, it was really tough.
Yeah, that's something that I switched. I used to just not check Aga Lumberjack, but in keys there's just so many extra items that you get these seeds where you just you get nothing by the time you get to CAC, and it's pretty fairly common to not have any bombs or not enough rupees or whatever, and then you're going south to CAC and trying to farm and there are a few things in the game I hate more than going south into CAC and farming bombs from those bushes. So getting the I do the uncle route, try to get two different tree pulls, check the bush crabs, check a couple different prize packs, and hopefully get either money or bombs from that. And it's it's a pretty good shot at it.
Yeah, I was definitely playing a little more high risk, just assuming that the seed was going to give me something at some point, and it definitely bit me here. But this was easily the poorest I've been 10 minutes into a seed.
It did wait quite a while to give the first 300 too, because that thing was relatively buried. I want to say Eastern was the first 300 that we ended up grabbing.
I think I got one somewhere around Village of Outcasts, because I was still low on rupees and had to do the arrow game to get dig. And I did extra time to get so that I would end up around 200 after dig games, so that if I did get a 300, I'd be able to go do Zora. And I feel like leaving Village of Outcasts, because I routed all through North Dark World over to Catfish Zora, I must have picked up a 300 somewhere between Village of Outcasts and Zora.
I think there was one in Thieves Town. I think that's what it was.
That sounds right to me because, yeah, you were both playing the Arrow game at the same time, and you both finished it with about 150 to 200 rupees, and you both routed the early Dark World sections identically. Yeah, like I said, you were frame for frame for a while up until you diverged shortly after Zora, I believe.
And I'd also say that like the worst Pendant dungeon item layouts where they each had one required item, but that was it, and they were fairly deep in, so you were like committed. You were committed to full clearing it anyways. So so frustrating to go then pull pedestal and do Pendant and get nothing for it.
I mean, Pod's item, the Mitts, was on the bridge, which is fairly early, but then you came back for it because you never got the information on whether it was a pendant or a crystal. So
yeah, I left that map in checkerboard, and I don't know what that was, but I was like, with my luck, with the way the seed is going, that was the pod map, and I would have known. But
yeah, I'm not sure I would have, even with knowledge of what pod was, I'm not sure I could avoid finishing pod before, diving TR. It's tough because, at the time that I was thinking of going to TR, I wasn't able to do Hookshot Cave the first time up Dark Death Mountain because I didn't have a hookshot. So I knew I could get into TR, but I was a key short and a fire rod short, and that's a little steep of a risk to just hope that both things are on the mountain. It turns out they were, but I probably would have still done pod even with the knowledge of it being a pendant.
fire rod being in TR made everything significantly more terrible as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
You just
I agree with that.
I might, if I had two small keys when I was up there doing Hera, I was thinking about doing TR, but with just one key, you can't get far enough in for it to feel worthwhile at all. So if I had two, I might have done it, and that would have been kind of a wild early find. But just unfortunate. Everything aside from maybe doing left side swamp right away, about the only decision I made, I felt like that worked out. So.
All right, so all of that being said, if you guys have not had enough rando for the night, we do have two more games that are on the docket. One starting in about 35 minutes on the ALTTP Randomizer channel. That's Homemade Beer and TJ Maelstrom commentating for Willard J. Bradley versus Mind DM. And then we have a match half an hour after that on SpeedGaming 4. That's going to be Sean Rhapsody and Vextifer.
Also, note that Willard and Mindium match will be the second half of a doubleheader that is currently ongoing on that same channel.
Oh, good catch. I did not notice that. Yeah, so that game is a little over an hour and 15 minutes in at this point if you want to go run over there.
Yep. I do think ultimately that will be it for us. We had jmeasher, we had McMonkey put on awesome show for us, kind of just threw out this less than ideal seed in a lot of ways. Had the awesome tracker Relkin keeping everything lit up for us, making it easier to talk about, except for when I forgot this wasn't Key Sanity, which happened more than once, I'm sorry. But yeah, that's pretty much it for us. It was a good race, and thank you everybody for watching it.
Have a good night, everyone.